finally happened. Alabama lands our first recruit at a position of crazy need because it was a mess last season. We got to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Alabama Football 365. If you are an Alabama Crimson Tide football fan, please hit that subscribe button. Only 2% of viewers are subscribed to the channel, and it really helps me out a ton. But let's jump right into what we got for today because Alabama just landed another commitment. And let's jump right into it here. We got Stafford Willis, the first offensive line prospect for Alabama in 2027. In 2026, Alabama's offensive line was not even close to good enough. We had Caden Proctor, who was a 5-star recruit, who played pretty well. He could have played a little bit better. He played pretty well, but that's our fault for putting a wide receiver out of position at left tackle. But last year, the run game for Alabama was not even close enough. Part of it was scheme. A lot of it was the offensive line not being good enough. We saw Ty Simpson. You're going to need to know that name for later on the video, so keep Ty Simpson in your mind. But his passing game was also impacted by the fact that the O-line really did not do him the most favors in the world. Offensive line wasn't bad by college football standards. It was like only a little bit below average by SEC standards, but for Alabama standards, Alabama is supposed to have a absolute brick wall, not even a brick wall, a titanium wall, an unstoppable, unbreakable force around the starting quarterback, and that's not what it was last year. But Kalen Deboer and the rest of the Alabama coaching staff is going to get more active going after these offensive line prospects to hopefully make that not an issue in the future. And it starts in the 2027 class with Stafford Willis coming from Arab, Alabama. So an Alabama kid here committing to the program. Willis is a 6'5", 280-pound interior offensive lineman committing last night. Rated a 3-star recruit by 24/7 Sports. They have him rated an 86 overall, ranked as the 82nd best interior offensive lineman in the class and 46th best player in the state of Alabama. The composite grade has him ranked as the 1,200th best player in the class. So you would imagine Alabama will get some other offensive line recruits with a little bit more stars, but we are happy to have Stafford Willis as the first offensive line commit for the Crimson Tide for this 2027 class. We're going to have to add to it because, I'm not going to keep ragging on the offensive line last year. Last year was last year. In the NIL era, teams can flip like in an absolute instant. So the O-line, maybe it's going to be good next year, but what I do know is we're going to need more than one offensive line commit in that 2027 class. Not that I think that's the plan, but we're going to need more than that. Now, Stafford Willis, his path to committing to Alabama, we can see it here from the timeline provided by 24/7 Sports. June 9th, Alabama officially offered Stafford Willis. Then on the 19th, which was this past weekend, he took his official visit to Tuscaloosa, eventually committing last night to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome Stafford Willis to the program. Now, I know a lot of people find offensive linemen a little bit boring to talk about, which is why we got something else. Alabama is trending for a couple quarterbacks in the 2028 class. The goal is for Alabama to get 2 quarterbacks committed in that 2028 class, which continues the trend of 2 quarterbacks in 2026, 2027, and now looking for 2 quarterbacks in the 2028 class. And we're going to start off with Graham. Last name is blanked out because if you look at the picture of this player, you should be able to recognize who this is. I'm going to give you a second. I'm going to read off some measurables here, and we'll read off the scouting report before we reveal who this guy is. But Graham, a 3-star quarterback in the 2028 class, it's about 6 feet tall, 182 pounds. We'll get into the ratings a little bit later. Undersized field general that can play both on and off schedule. Son of a veteran coach and grew up around the game. Might not have the prototypical build, but looks like a future high-level distributor. Does this sound like any Alabama quarterbacks that we may remember? Now, I don't have the technology capabilities to unblur his name, but you may have guessed it by now. This is Graham Simpson, younger brother of 2025 starter quarterback for Alabama, Ty Simpson. A lot of the same, you know what? Oh, I wish I showed Martin, Tennessee. That probably would have been another help because their father coaching at UT Martin football. Probably would have been another good hint to lay down, but Graham Simpson, a name that Alabama is floating around, and one picture I want to put up on the screen. We can see him here playing with actually sweatbands, Alabama sweatbands. So that was not, that was not an edit on the thumbnail of this video. Actually wearing those when he is practicing or playing. But Graham Simpson is a 3-star recruit according to 24/7 Sports. The composite grade has him ranked as a 4-star. Ranked as the 15th best quarterback in the class and number 13 best prospect in the state of Tennessee. And Graham Simpson shares a lot of similarities with his older brother, Ty Simpson. I read off the scouting report points from Andrew Ivins, the director of scouting for 24/7 Sports, that coincided with his brother Ty Simpson, but we can go through a couple of the other ones here. Tends to embrace chaos with slick pocket movements. Ty Simpson moved around the pocket a lot as well. Accurate to the first and second levels, often throwing with anticipation. I should have read that one off too, because that was exactly Ty Simpson. The first and second levels were very accurate, and then his deep ball was where some of the questions were for NFL scouts. Now, I would blame a lot of the deep throw. I wouldn't even say Ty Simpson was bad at throwing the deep ball, but it was inconsistent, and we didn't really know because he didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to throw it because the offensive line just frankly didn't protect him long enough to get those throws off. Graham Simpson calculated with his decisions 57-1 TD interception ratio. I know it's high school, but that is the best ratio I've heard in my entire life. I don't even think I've seen anyone pull that off on Madden or college football. That is insane. Then we read it off before. May not have the prototypical build, but looks like a future high-level distributor. Really, you might as well call him Ty Simpson because he sounds exactly like Ty Simpson. Brings all the same stuff to the table. Grew up in the same family, of course, with the father who's a football coach. So his mechanics are going to be good. His fundamentals are going to be good. He's grown up around the game of football. At the same time, he's undersized, but he's a mobile quarterback who isn't exactly a dual threat, but he's mobile, and he's a very accurate quarterback and very accurate with anticipation through short passes and medium passes. So really, his profile, according to 24/7 Sports, sounds exactly like his brother Ty Simpson. And if he can be as good as Ty Simpson was for Alabama in a couple of years, that would be a tremendous win for the program. Let's talk about some other wins for the program. The other name that is coming up here. So I should mention Graham Simpson being linked to Alabama through the obvious connection, but the quarterback in the 2028 class that is Alabama's number one target, right? I guess our number one target is probably Christopher Vargas, the number one quarterback in the 2028 class, but the top name that has real momentum going to Alabama is Kingston Pryor. We talked about him before, maybe it's pre-year, not entirely sure about the pronunciation, but we will get it down when it matters. 6'3", 195 pounds, rated a 4-star by every single recruiting outlet, ranked as the top 75 recruit in the country, top 5 quarterback in the class. Another player out of Alabama. He comes from Alexander City, Alabama, and we've put up his scouting report before, but we're just going to throw it up one last time here. Just to quickly go over prior stuff here. Again, from Andrew Ivins, athletic signal caller that hunts big plays, athletic mover in the pocket, slips away from pressure, generates easy exit velocity, and flashes touch on deep shots. So, dual threat quarterback who has a big arm, and he is always trying to make the big play. So that's what Pryor is. Really the opposite of Graham Simpson, whereas Graham Simpson is that I can't call him a pocket quarterback, but his throwing style, his passing style is of a pocket quarterback. He's just a mobile guy. But Pryor is that dual threat, true dual threat. He's the type of quarterback that you think of when you think of college football. You think of the quarterbacks that can run the ball and throw the ball and have monster arms, but need to be better at reading defenses and need to be more accurate with their passes. So Alabama is going to get some quarterbacks in this 2028 class. It just depends on who they are. Remember, the plan is 2 quarterbacks in the class of 2028. That's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video all the way through. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Roll Tide, roll.